While posing as a German woman, Raven Darkholme, who would later be known as Mystique, married Baron Christian Wagner to benefit as part of a deal she made with her partner Irene Adler, Destiny. During their marriage, Mystique asked her husband to hire Irene as a maid and began an affair with her and another with the mutant Azazel. Irene convinced Raven to have a child. The shapeshifter used her abilities to become a man with traits similar to those of Azazel, Christian, and others. Raven ended her affair with Azazel shortly after. To avoid raising suspicion, Raven used her powers to pretend to be pregnant at the same time as Irene. Baron Wagner became paranoid after seeing Raven with Azazel and began spying on her, and eventually one night, Raven and Irene were caught by Baron Wagner, who wanted to kill them, but Mystique killed him first, forcing her to impersonate by the Baron to hide the truth. The baby was born as a mutant with blue skin, pointed ears, bright yellow eyes, and a tail. At first, Mystique and Destiny wanted to raise the baby, but they were discovered by the Baron's servants and Raven's true appearance was revealed. They both escaped from the mansion, but on the way they separated. Irene took the baby and they were with Azazel. Destiny had had a vision of how he would become a villain and in some future conquer Earth. To try to avoid it, he told her that Raven's baby was his son. When the couple was reunited, they left their baby in a safe place and looked for Charlex Xavier to help them. The professor altered their memories so that they believed that Raven had become pregnant after an affair with Azazel and, after being discovered, abandoned her son in a river. Kurt was found by Margali Zardos, a Romani sorceress and queen, who became a fortune teller at Herr Getman's circus. Wagner was never legally adopted by anyone, but was raised within the circus, mainly with people who were not prejudiced against freaks, except for the ringmaster, Herr Max Getman. Wagner grew up in the circus with his adopted brothers Stefan and Jimen Zardos. Kurt and Stefan later forged a true friendship as they grew older, and Stefan learned that his magical heritage could draw him to evil one day. So, Stefan made Kurt promise him that if he ever killed for no reason, Kurt would kill him too. Long before his teleportation power emerged, Wagner had tremendous natural agility and by his teenage years had become the circus star acrobat and aerial performer. As he grew older, Kurt's abilities attracted fewer and fewer people until one day, Herr Getman could no longer afford to keep him sedated between acts and decided to sell him. Fearing the worst, Margali tried to free her son. While fleeing, he accidentally knocked over a torch, setting the circus on fire. Getman and his men chased Kurt through the forest and were about to shoot him in the face when he teleported for the first time. Astonished and pleased with his escape, Kurt headed to Father Wagner's church where he was welcomed with open arms. Unfortunately, Getman followed Kurt and tried to kill him by burning the church. Furious, Nightcrawler was about to kill him, but Father Wagner reminded him of his humanity and stopped Kurt. Before Getman recovered, Professor X appeared and saved the young mutant by making them believe that he had died in the fire. Years later, Texas millionaire Amos Jardine, who ran a large circus based in Florida, learned of the circus Wagner worked for and bought it. Jardine intended to transfer his best acts to his American circus. However, he demanded that Wagner be placed in the Circus Freak Show. Dismayed, Wagner resigned and headed to Germany, where Stefan was. Kurt discovered that Stefan had gone crazy and brutally killed several children. 2 nights after leaving the circus, Wagner found Stefan and fought him, hoping to stop his rampage. During the fight, Wagner accidentally broke Stefan's neck. The villagers found him and blamed him for the children's deaths. When they were about to kill him, Professor X again saved Kurt and recruited him into the X-Men. Wagner agreed to join the group, but before leaving for America, he and Professor Xavier went to the Bavarian circus so that Wagner could explain to Margali about Stefan's death. However, Margali was not there and held Wagner responsible for Stefan's murder. Kurt, along with other mutants, saved the X-Men from the island of Krakoa, and after this, he joined the team's new lineup. Kurt met Amanda Sefton and the two began dating. Investigating the murder of an old friend, Eric Hoffman, Kurt briefly battled Spider-Man and the Punisher until the real killer, Jigsaw, was revealed and the trio defeated him. While meeting Amanda at an airport, Kurt recognized Arcade's plane and heard that Arnos had hired him to kill Spider-Man and refused. After arriving at the Arnos circus, Kurt posed as Spider-Man to lure out the new assassin, and the duo battled Cutthroat. On Kurt's 21st birthday, Jimin transported Kurt's soul to a simulacrum of Dante's Inferno. There he confronted Margali Zardos, who blamed Kurt for Stefan's death. When Nightcrawler convinced Margali that Stefan had gone crazy, she forgave Kurt and left. Jimin revealed that she had been at Nightcrawler's side, magically disguised for months as Amanda Sefton, Kurt's girlfriend. Kurt had some missions with Wolverine and Alpha Flight, with which he began his great friendship with Logan. Kurt took over leadership of the X-Men after Storm lost her powers for a time. For a time, he traveled through various strange worlds with Lockheed, Shadowcat's pet dragon, until he found his way back home. When Storm and Cyclops returned to the team, Kurt relinquished leadership and allowed the two to decide who would be the new leader. Afterwards, the X-Men confronted the Beyonder, and Nightcrawler began to question his faith in religion. After fighting Nimrod, the hero was seriously injured. Due to his injuries, Kurt lost the ability to teleport. He eventually regained this ability, but now it was more exhausting for him to use this power. After this, he faced the Marauders in this weakened state, where he overexerted himself until he fell into a coma. Kurt was sent to recover on Muir Island, and when he woke up from his coma, Shadowcat informed him of the apparent death of the X-Men. Not long after, Nightcrawler and Kitty realized that they had both had the same dream several times, leading them to believe that Rachel was trying to communicate with them. They went to London, where they met up with Captain Britain, and together they rescued Rachel from the werewolves. After this, the four formed Excalibur to continue Professor X's dream. Together they fought against new enemies and some classics such as Juggernaut, Arcade, and the Crazy Gang. During his time on this team, Wagner learned that Mystique was his real mother. Colossus joined the team, but returned to America shortly after along with Kurt and Kitty to reunite with the X-Men, who had faked his death all along. The legacy virus took the lives of several mutants. Nightcrawler decided to leave the X-Men to become a priest, but left that life after Colossus' death at the hands of the virus. During a confrontation, Azazel claimed to be Wagner's true father and sired a series of mutants with dimensional powers to aid him in his plans. For a while, Kurt believed that to be true, but later he would discover who his real parents were. Kurt traveled to Russia with Logan and Colossus to visit the graves of Peter's parents. The three were captured by the Russian government, who demanded to know why all their mutants lost their powers and how they still had theirs. After a battle with Omega Red, the heroes returned to San Francisco, where the new X-Men headquarters was located. Nightcrawler soon left the X-Men for a short time, feeling that it was not necessary since Pixie possessed a better teleportation ability, so he decided to return to his homeland in Winseldorf. During the Second Coming arc, Bastion nearly killed Hope Summers. Nightcrawler teleported right in front of the girl and managed to carry her away, but Bastion put his arm through her body. The X-Men were devastated by Kurt's death, especially Wolverine, some blaming Hope or Cyclops for the event. Due to his heroic actions, Kurt made it to heaven, but he still felt like he had unfinished business in the land of the living. When Azazel mounted an attack on Heaven using his connection to Kurt as a gate, the other X-Men were able to create a portal to Heaven through the power of the Bamfs, demonic creatures much like Nightcrawler, to aid their old friend. Together, they defeated Azazel, and the Bamfs united to create a new body for Kurt, allowing him to return to the underworld and join the X-Men. Kurt continued to readjust to life in the land of the living. In addition to lacking a soul, many of the changes the X-Men had undergone, such as the death of Professor Xavier, the loss of Logan's healing factor, and Cyclops' terrorist faction, left him confused. Still, he tried to adjust to his new life. The hero reunited with his former lover, Amanda Sefton, and surprised her one night at her apartment. However, shortly after their joyful reunion, Amanda was attacked by a villain calling himself Trimega. This was all planned by Margali Zardos, who wanted to find out how the X-Men had managed to open a portal to the afterlife. Nightcrawler and Amanda tried to stop the witch from opening a portal that would connect the other world to Earth. To do so, Amanda had to close the portal, but she got stuck in the sky, leaving Kurt devastated. To make matters worse, Wolverine died and this pushed him into depression. After returning from the dead, Professor X, Magneto and Moira McTaggart formed the mutant nation of Krakoa. Kurt joined them and helped the X-Men on various missions to ensure the well-being of their nation. Nightcrawler was also elected to serve in the country's government in the Silent Council of Krakoa. In this position he proposed creating new philosophical and religious understandings because mutants had found a way to revive after death. When the anti-mutant group known as Orcus attempted to use Onslaught to destroy Krakoa, Kurt joined Legion, Zorn, Fabian Cortez, and Professor X to stop them. Subsequently, Nightcrawler began to take on a more demon-like appearance, due to his mutation having been altered by Margali Zardo's magic. Under the witch's control, he killed 3 men to tarnish the reputation of the mutants. His friends managed to free him, but he decided to leave Krakoa due to murder accusations. Because his image had been tarnished, Kurt adopted the identity of Uncanny Spider-Man with Peter Parker's permission and used his abilities to help mutants from the shadows. Unfortunately, Orcus orchestrated an attack on Krakoa where hundreds of mutants lost their lives and many others were trapped in the White Hot Room. Kurt became one of the few active mutants on the planet. Orcus found out that the new Spider-Man was a mutant, so they sent villains like Rhino, Vulture and other mind-controlled mutants like Cloak and Dagger to eliminate him. In his activities, Nightcrawler also ran into a disoriented Mystique, who had suffered a stroke during the attack on Krakoa. When he came to his senses, he revealed to Kurt the truth about his origin. Kurt resumed his identity as Nightcrawler during the mutant war against Orcus, helping in the attempt to free Cyclops, who was about to be tried for the mutants' alleged crimes. Currently, it is known that Nightcrawler will join Jubilee, Rogue, Wolverine, and Gambit in a new Uncanny X-Men lineup. Although things seem difficult, Kurt has always maintained faith that it is possible to achieve peaceful coexistence between humans and mutants.